The claim that the moon landing was a hoax is a conspiracy theory that emerged in the mid-1970s, several years after the first crewed landing on the moon in July 1969. This theory posits that NASA, with the potential aid of other organizations, fabricated the 6 crewed landings between 1969 and 1972. Proponents of this theory argue that the United States government orchestrated this deception, possibly to win the space race against the Soviet Union, boost NASA's funding and prestige, or divert public attention from the Vietnam War. The core argument of the hoax theory revolves around alleged inconsistencies and gaps in the photographic and video evidence from the Apollo missions. Some frequently cited points include: the absence of stars in the lunar sky photographs. Conspiracy theorists argue that in the vacuum of space, stars should be clearly visible. The counter-argument, supported by photographic principles, is that the bright sunlight illuminating the lunar surface and the astronauts required short exposure times, which would not capture the faint light of distant stars. The waving American flag in a vacuum. Critics question how the flag could appear to wave if there is no atmosphere, and thus no wind, on the moon. NASA explains that the flag was mounted on a telescoping pole with a horizontal bar to make it fly proudly, and the wrinkles were due to it being folded during transport. The apparent waving is simply the result of these folds and the crinkled material. Parallel shadows in photographs. Some claim that the non-parallel shadows in some images indicate multiple light sources, suggesting a studio setting rather than a single light source, the sun, in space. However, this effect is a result of perspective on a three-dimensional, uneven surface. Just as shadows cast by objects on Earth are not always parallel due to uneven terrain, the lunar landscape causes shadows to converge or diverge. The lack of a blast crater beneath the lunar module. Conspiracy theorists expect to see a significant crater from the descent engine. However, the lunar module's descent engine was throttled down significantly for landing, and the lunar regolith soil is quite compact beneath a layer of fine dust. While the engine did displace some dust, visible in landing footage, it would not have created a large crater. The C marking on a lunar rock. A photograph appears to show a marking resembling the letter C on a rock. This has been dismissed as a photographic printing error or a stray hair during processing. Footprints that don't match the astronaut's boots. This claim often arises from a comparison of a footprint in a photo with a specific spacesuit displayed in a museum. However, the footprint in the famous photo was made by Buzz Aldrin, while the suit often shown is Neil Armstrong's, and different tasks required different boot designs. Despite these claims, an overwhelming amount of evidence supports the authenticity of the moon landings. This evidence comes from independent sources and multiple lines of inquiry. Moon rocks. Apollo missions brought back 382 kilograms, 842 pounds, of moon rocks and dust. These samples have been studied by scientists worldwide, and the unique composition is distinct from Earth rocks. Furthermore, lunar meteorites found on Earth have been chemically linked to these Apollo samples, providing independent confirmation of lunar material. Third-party tracking. The Apollo missions were tracked independently by observatories and radar systems across the globe, including those in countries that were not allied with the United States. These independent verifications confirm the spacecraft's trajectory and distance. Lunar laser ranging retroreflectors. Apollo missions 11, 14, and 15 placed laser retroreflectors on the moon. Scientists on Earth can bounce lasers off these reflectors to precisely measure the distance to the moon. These devices are passive and require no power source, and they continue to function to this day, providing ongoing proof of human presence on the moon. Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, LRO, imagery. Since 2009, the LRO has captured high-resolution images of the Apollo landing sites. These images clearly show the descent stages of the lunar modules, the tracks left by the astronauts' boots and the lunar roving vehicle, and even discarded equipment. Witness testimony. Hundreds of thousands of people were involved in the Apollo program, from scientists and engineers to technicians and astronauts. The scale of the alleged conspiracy required their silence over decades, which is highly improbable. Soviet Union acknowledgement. During the height of the Cold War and the space race, the Soviet Union closely monitored the U.S. space program. They never challenged the authenticity of the moon landings, which they would have been eager to do if any evidence of a hoax had emerged. Public opinion polls have consistently shown that the vast majority of people worldwide believe the moon landings were real. While the percentage of hoax believers varies by country, it typically remains a minority view. In the United States, polls taken between 1994 and 2009 indicated that between 6% and 20% of Americans believed the landings were faked. In conclusion, while the moon landing hoax theory persists, it is overwhelmingly refuted by a vast body of scientific evidence, independent verification, and the sheer improbability of such a large-scale and long-lasting deception. The historical record and the physical evidence left on the moon firmly support the fact that humanity has indeed walked on its surface.